So with the intro, there's one moment in Star Wars history, Star Wars lore, that has always resonated with me the most, and it's Order 66. It just has there's like a again, I don't want to say I enjoy it because that's creepy with how dark it is, but it just like hits me in a way that no other Star Wars content does. Like when that scene was happening, I was so like, I'm not a super emotional or sensitive guy, but that hit me like a freight train because I wasn't expecting that at all. Like I'm sitting there like expecting it to like open up with something like funny with Obi Wan, like, you know, talking shit to some Jawa or something like that. Like that kind of stuff was what I expected to start. But instead it was like, no, like we're going to literally put you through the ringer to start this episode, which I think was super, super cool.
Well, and it carries so much weight because like you said, in like the intro where they showed all of the previous Order 66 scenes too, you totally get the feeling and the gravity of an entire galaxy pretty much shifting entirely in one single moment. From seeing like the small Padawan just doing their things, their thing, learning, and then just at the drop of a hat, chaos. Everybody's life has changed.
Dude, it's insane. Yeah, and like, and so there's two elements of the Order 66 thing that I wanted to hit on and first is the plan itself. So and this is my favorite thing about like the difference between George Lucas's approach to this whole thing and you know what Kathleen Kennedy has done in years past. Like you can tell the painstaking detail that George Lucas went to come up with a functional way for the Sith to win that makes tactical sense, that you understand how the Jedi could have fallen for it, and you totally see tactically how it works. Like the plan for Order 66 was genius. It was utterly genius. And so we're going to talk, this is going to kind of harken back to this Darth Bane trilogy, which is a book series that's in the expanded universe that Luke and I will eventually do a whole series of episodes on, I'm sure. Because I've said before, I think the Darth Bane trilogy is one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars content. But in the Darth Bane trilogy, there's a couple of specific factors there that we're going to touch on in this episode. But one I wanted to hit on was one of Darth Bane's ideologies that was literally the inception of Order 66. He literally called it the Grand Plan.
Yeah.
The idea was Darth Bane understood that the Sith would never be able to defeat the Jedi with sheer power of force. And we will explain why in just a second because it hinges on another concept from the book that we'll get to involving the rule of two. But he knew that their best bet to successfully overthrow the Republic was subterfuge and hiding in the shadows and basically using cunning as opposed to sheer power. And so Order 66 was the culmination of thousands of chess moves by dozens of Sith Lords over centuries.
Who were all wanting to be in power, but knew that like their lineage mattered most almost.
Exactly.
To the point where like there's certain Sith that we know of when they're getting attacked by their predecessor, and they're like, "Oh, you tried to kill me. I'm so proud of you." You know what I mean? Like we say that in Plagueis.
In Plagueis, like literally after Sidious kills Plagueis, like Plagueis is like, "Nice job. Yeah, it's on you now."
he cries out of happiness because he got killed. No, he didn't do that.
And then remember, like right at the end, like I think Sidious like ends up pulling the ceiling down and finally killing him. It's like, "Goodbye, Master. I'm going to murder you now." You taught me so much. I love you. Dude, it's totally cool. But so they're all down to make that grand plan, the plan that you're talking about, happen, and they're so loyal to the idea. Since Darth Bane on, it seems like most of the Sith that we know about are extremely loyal to that idea. Oh yeah, it gets off the rail. There was one Sith in the lineage from Bane to Sidious who at one point turns to the light side of the Force and starts to burn up holocrons and stuff. And I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they consider like it's the Sith view it as one of their great tragedies that takes place over the course of the year. It's a very deep, involved and detailed and thought out storyline from Legends, basically, and we know that Bane is now canon from Clone Wars. So it's interesting, but one day we will dive way further into that. But the two concepts from Bane that
people are like, you guys just did dive far into that.
Exactly. What's episode 2 of the Bane breakdown? But the two concepts that this whole thing hinges on from Bane are the Rule of Two, which we'll get to later, and then this concept of the grand plan, the use of subterfuge to undermine the Jedi Order. Yeah. The second thing from that opening scene that resonated with me, and I think it's a huge part of why those scenes always hit me so hard. Every single Jedi, when that shit went down, was ready to rock.
They were.
Like, every single Jedi immediately just clicks into like immediate defense mode. And it's so cool because I was actually talking about this on my show last night covering the NBA because we were talking with about Luka Doncic and him in the Warriors. And like I talked about like the fight or flight response. Like there are people that when they're down, they just sit there and get kicked. Mm-hmm. And then there's the people who get up and try to fight their way out. And like every Jedi in every iteration of Order 66 goes down swinging.
They do. And they do a great job with it too.
Dude.
Could you imagine? So they're so close with the clones, and the clones have true love for the Jedi too until Order 66 happens. And then all of a sudden the Jedi are like, okay, we're defending ourselves from clones now, but we can roll with this. And it's incredible to see, but I guess it's a tribute to their training probably and their ability to multitask. Like there's certain times when we see Jedi, like I think in the High Republic books, Bell is thinking about stuff as he's fighting people. Mm-hmm. And it's just their amazing ability to like be conscious during like fights and think, oh, this is kind of a unique experience almost. And they're so able to multitask, which is incredible. So, I mean, I bet in those scenes, the Jedi are thinking to themselves like, okay, must protect Padawan, save myself, but what in the world is going on, you know?
Oh, dude, yeah. At the same time, though, like there's another recurring theme with Jedi in combat that you specifically see in books. Because again, books can do something like while an action scene is taking place, describe a character's thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But one of the consistent themes is the Jedi in the books, when they are in combat, they are not thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, about the combat. It's very much like you disappear into the Force, and the Force essentially controls your actions. And so that's what's kind of cool. So you got the chick who's doing the lesson with the kids, and she just immediately switches into that mode. And like that was the thing that I thought about. Like what it looked like to me is like a Jedi that immediately identified what was happening and just basically disappeared into the Force and basically was like, I'm just going to
go out swinging.
I'm going down swinging. And she 1 second is with the kids and 2 seconds later she's doing like somersaults and and all this wild stuff. But like that scene in general was incredible. And I thought the purpose of the scene, because at first when it went back to Tatooine after that 10 years later, at first I was like, okay, this was awesome. Then my second thought was like, was that just like a cheap throw-in scene just so we could have Jedi combat? But then when I realized it was the Inquisitors right away, I think it was very intentional to explain, like, to casual Star Wars fans who might tune in, this is why the Inquisitors exist.
Right, to weed out all the Jedi.
Yeah, we know why the Inquisitors exist from us just being huge Star Wars fans. But if you tuned in and you didn't watch Rebels and you didn't play the video games, you have no idea what Inquisitor is.
Yeah.
And for them to, literally the first exchange of words is, do you know who we are? And then the guy says Inquisitors, and he's like, do you know what we do? And he says, you hunt Jedi.
Right.
And I think that was very intentional after the intro to be like, the ultimate plan was not just for the Sith to take control of the government. It was to destroy the Jedi Order.
Well, and also highlighted beautifully how potent 66 was.
Oh, man.
Or Order 66 was, because you see, I don't know what percentage of Jedi die in Order 66. I'm sure it's high. I'm sure it's greater than 80%. And then they make the comment one of the Inquisitors does where they pretty much say like, hey, we think we've gotten all the big fish out of the sea, essentially with Jedi. Yeah, they weren't sure about Obi-Wan, but they pretty much alluded to the fact that they're just pretty much searching for like the small fish per se, which I thought was interesting because it showed how alone Jedi were, and they did a fabulous job highlighting that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, like this is another recurring theme throughout the Star Wars universe. Like the Sith and the Jedi at numerous points in their history have had each other on the ropes.
Right.
But no one's ever been able to close the deal.
They're both so powerful.
Exactly. And the purpose of the Inquisitors is effectively to close the deal, you know, which is difficult. But at the same time, like that to me is like one of the most interesting dynamics is even just letting one inexperienced Jedi, or not necessarily inexperienced, because in my notes I put weaker Jedi, and the guy that I was thinking of is the guy on Tatooine, the guy that had the face stuff.
Right. The one who is hung.
Yeah, he's clearly not some super powerful Jedi. He's just a guy who was in the Jedi Order, right?
Right.
But it's like all it takes is him escaping and encountering a child who happens to be very powerful,
right,
and training him.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you have a powerful Jedi remaining. Like that's the importance of Order 66 in conjunction with the Inquisitors was to effectively close the deal.
Mm-hmm.